Welcome to This Week in Missouri Politics. Primary season well underway, and we're going to take you out of our studios from Jeff City here out into the state where all the races are happening this summer, the exciting primaries throughout Missouri. We're going to start with a statewide race. We're going to talk to Senator Denny Hoskins running for Secretary of State. Senator Hoskins, where are we finding you today?
Good morning. Yes, I'm at home in Warrensburg today. So
Nice.
It's feels like a balmy, very humid day, but
Steamy.
yes, it is very steamy already.
So how's the campaign going?
Campaign's going very well. We're hitting the most events out of any other candidate. We're second or third in cash on hand. It feels the momentum is building. You know, I have people
Where's
requesting.
cash on hand at?
Say that?
Where's your cash on hand at right now?
We're sitting around 250, 300,000 with some more expected to come in after the June 30th deadline. And so very, very excited and happy about that.
So tell me, it feels like you have been everywhere. At every time two Republicans get together and have coffee, it feels like Denny Hoskins is there in that jacket. Give me one of your favorite towns you've been to, off the beaten path.
Off the beaten path, maybe
Not
Hartville, Missouri.
Hartville's great. Battle of Hartville, yes. Nice place.
Yes.
So what are folks talking about when you get to places like Hartville?
Well, when you get to Hartville or Mountain View, we had some great barbecue in downtown Mountain View. You know, they're talking about election integrity, and they're talking about how they don't trust the machines. They're talking about the Puerto Rican primary election that just happened, where you actually had the voting machines and the paper ballots didn't reconcile to each other. So I find that the voters out there are very informed. Many of them are down in the weeds. They know what they're talking about. They have a lot of questions about the election and make sure that the election is not stolen here in 2024.
So walk me through. You want to get rid of any voting machines? What is that include the little punch Chad things they read?
Yes.
How do you think Missourians should vote in 2 years?
I think that Missourians should vote. The most secure and safe elections are in person on election day with a voter ID and a paper ballot. We want to make sure that non-citizens don't vote here in the state, and obviously voters are going to have a chance to weigh in on that with SJR 78. And no, I don't trust the voting machines. I've said that I wanted to ban the voting machines. This past legislative session, I filed a bill to hand count ballots. We currently have state statute that talks about how to hand count ballots. We used to hand count ballots, but I will tell you the vast majority of Missourians do not trust the election machines, and we need to look and see what we can do to get rid of those.
You know, I will say this. I probably am not the first person to stand up for folks in St. Louis, but I'll tell you, I have seen this firsthand. In St. Louis, these voting lines are 2 hours. Now, I believe there are folks that will stand in a 2-hour line to vote, and I salute them. But I'll tell you, you talk about disenfranchising folks. You know what it's like to work for a living, and working folks cannot stand in line for 2 hours to vote. The folks in St. Louis are getting shortchanged. And well, if it's a paper ballot, will that take longer? I mean, to me, there's a real problem, and it's highly unfair. And this is the first time I think I've ever said this to folks in St. Louis. If a working person cannot take off that much time to vote, there's got to be something that can be done to give those folks a real, honest access to and a chance to vote.
Yes, what I've said is, you know, I know a lot of people celebrate very, very, very much Columbus Day, but why couldn't on general election years we say, hey, we're not going to take off Columbus Day as a federal holiday, and we'll make the November election, the November general election, a federal and state holiday, so people have off the whole day to go vote. I think that this would eliminate a lot of those problems as far as, you know, right now.
I don't know if John Rizzo and Tony Soprano would appreciate that, but
that's right.
Well, I do think it's a serious problem, and I think you are disenfranchising working people when you have to take off that much time. Let's talk about the jacket. You have trademarked a jacket. You kind of went to the David Pierce School of Gaudy Outfits. It has become people now. I've seen this. If you're not wearing the jacket, folks wonder if something's wrong.
That's right. Yes, and I don't have on the red jacket right now because it's outside. And it's very steamy, but
it's too hot. Yeah.
I started wearing the red jacket at the beginning of this year, and then I sent it to the dry cleaners and showed up at a couple of Republican events, and I had people come up to me and say, "Hey, where's your red jacket? Why aren't you in your red jacket?" And so since then, it's been an easy thing to do. Just My wardrobe consists of the red jacket and usually a white button-down shirt at these events. But yeah, I guess everybody's known for something, and I'm most certainly known for having my red jacket.
Let's talk about sports. You
Yes.
have been at the center of sports betting, 5 years now, probably. There's a sports betting IP on the ballot. How's Denny Hoskins going to vote on that IP?
I will I haven't decided for sure. I do have a lot of concerns about the sports betting IP that is on the ballot. Number one, the tax rate I think is too low. Number two, it doesn't provide enough money for problem compulsive gambling. I think it puts $5 million in there. The Problem Compulsive Gambling Association says that Missouri will need at least $10 million to combat problem compulsive gambling. So I'd say as of right now, the version that it's in, I would probably be a no on.
Well, it is interesting, though. That was at the heart of things that I think the public would like to bet on sports, or at least the vocal part that blew me up on Twitter.
Yes.
The legislature could have came in and fixed that themselves, right?
We could have come in and fixed that ourselves,
and in raise the tax rate and put more in for problem gambling and all those things.
Right. Unfortunately, the compromise that I was willing to take, the casinos and professional sports teams were not willing to take, and in fact, we didn't even have a hearing on sportsbook or VLTs this year in the Missouri State Senate.
Let's talk about the Royals and Chiefs. So there was a tax in Jackson County that's already on the books. The voters didn't renew it. The Chiefs and Royals then said, well, we got to explore our options. I mean, where do you come down? I think it's just a plain fact. Without some public investment, those teams may not leave the Kansas City area, but they're going to leave Kansas City and Jackson County. Where do you come down on what is the actual workable solution to keep at least the Chiefs in Missouri?
Well, I said from the beginning, I want the Chiefs and the Royals to stay in the state of Missouri, but I don't think it's right to saddle Missouri taxpayers with $2 billion in debt in order to fund 2 new stadiums to help fund billionaire sports team owners and multi-million-dollar athletes. Most Missourians, as I've traveled across the state to all corners of the state, they're having hard enough time putting money in their own pocket and paying their own bills, let alone paying.
Just said it fitters. That's not real. It's just not reality. Without some public money, they're not going to stay. So you would just say bye-bye?
No, what I would say is, hey, we already have some economic development tools in the toolbox that our Department of Economic Development has used to retain and attract new jobs, such as the Dollar Tree Distribution Center in Warrensburg, Nucor, steel manufacturing facility in Sedalia. So I would be interested to see what exactly our Missouri Department of Economic Development could come up with without us going in a special session. I'm not in favor of us going in a special session in order to try and pay for some new stadium.
So that just seems like that wouldn't work. But I do think the folks in Jackson County could renew their tax and a few of those things. Give me a prediction. Where do the Chiefs and Royals play 3 years from now, 4 years from now?
I think they'll play right where they are right now. I think they'll play in Kansas City, Missouri, and Jackson County.
Wow. You did pretty good with Missouri Right to Life. You're the only endorsed candidate. That of the endorsements in this state, that is still the most impactful endorsement is Missouri Right to Life.
Yeah, most certainly. I'm the only candidate that's been endorsed for Secretary of State by Missouri Right to Life for my pro-life conservative voting record. And that means a lot to me. I helped pass the heartbeat bill and break the Democrat filibuster.
You have carried water for them hardcore for 6 years. That's an endorsement you've earned.
It is, and something I'm very proud of all the endorsements I've received.
So tell me about the abortion IP. It looks like maybe folks went a little too far, and the voters are going to maybe rein some of that back in now.
Well, I hope that the abortion IP does not pass. I think it's very extreme, and we will probably see that. It looks like we'll see that on the November ballot, obviously, and so hopefully that fails. I know I'm going to do everything in my power to inform voters and educate voters on that a pro-abortion IP. We do not want that to pass.
Senator Denny Hoskins, thank you so much for the time. Hope you come back and join us as the election draws to a close.
Yes, I will. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We're going to be right back. We're going to take you down to the Lead Belt, Cindi Buchheit-Courtway. Then we're going to go to St. Charles, interview Phil Christofanelli. I wonder what he thinks about Columbus Day. I'll bet I know. We'll find out after this.
For more than a century, the St. Louis Carpenters Union has shaped our communities. Through trusted alliances, we deliver skilled professional craftspeople while our business partners provide the kind of quality jobs that keep our economy humming. It's a blueprint that has worked since 1882. Turning Missouri into a right-to-work state stalls progress, wipes out jobs, and kills momentum. Right to work is wrong for everyone. Let's keep Missouri moving forward. Visit carpdc.org to learn more.
America is under attack.
We need to lock the border down. As governor, I will fully support President Trump in securing our border.
Biden's open border means Chinese fentanyl is flowing into Missouri. Now they're coming for our land.
China is the enemy of our country and of the state of Missouri. As governor, I will stop China from bringing fentanyl into our state and from buying up our farmland.
Mike Kehoe will defend our borders and stop China. Paid for by the American Dream Pact.
Welcome back this week in Missouri Politics. Again, we're taking you all around the state to all the state Senate primaries going to make up the state Senate, probably the most impactful races on the ballot this summer. We're going to go now to St. Charles County, the fighting 23rd. Representative Phil Christofanelli, welcome back this week in Missouri Politics.
Glad to be back with you, Scott.
So tell folks where the district is.
Well, I represent St. Peter's right now, but I'm running to represent the 23rd Senatorial District, which includes all of St. Peter's. It includes all the city of St. Charles, West Alton, Portage de Sioux. You got historic Main Street, the old First State Capitol. You got Heritage and Harvester neighborhoods and unincorporated St. Charles, pretty much everything east of Mid-Rivers in our county.
You know, I tell you, that downtown St. Charles is just special. I love it. Christmas time there, the Santa Claus is out there, and the best Oktoberfest in the state of Missouri right there at Frontier Park in St. Charles. Beautiful place.
That's absolutely right, Scott. We have a fantastic Oktoberfest, and I look forward to seeing you there this year. If everything goes well, maybe we'll have our own tent.
I'll have the Lederhosen out. I'll be telling everyone Guten Tag. And people, it's a very underrated part of the county. I went to Cinder Eagle's gubernatorial kickoff on the north end. What a beautiful area right there along the river. St. Charles County is underrated. You get north of town.
That's absolutely right. We've got some beautiful country in the northeastern part of this district and a lot of duck hunting preserves up by the river, a lot of corn, a lot of soybeans. And so it's a great place to live.
So tell me about the race. How's it going?
Race is going really well. We've knocked over 18,000 doors. We're out there knocking every day, getting a great response from the constituency. I've been blessed to represent this area for 8 years, formed a lot of relationships here, and now we're hoping to continue that legacy of leadership on the Senate side.
My buddy Victor Callahan told me a story one time. We were sitting at Patty Malone's, and it was in the fall, and this guy in a really tough race in the general election came in. And Victor said he's going to lose. And I'm like, how do you know that in September? And he goes, oh, look at him. He's 5 pounds heavier than when he left session. He's not even tanned. You, sir, are a little skinnier, and you've been knocking some doors, it looks like.
That's right. I've earned my Epic Farmer's tan, and it's we're out there every day, and we're getting a really good response from the folks back home here.
I just saw a poll released. It had you at 15. It had Representative Schnelting and Rich Crisbner at 9 and O'Donnell at 6. It had to be high fives all around the Christofanelli camp.
Yeah, I think it's just a testament of how hard we've been working, and I think it's really only the beginning. That's before we've started any of our outreach through the mail or radio or all the things that we're going to do to get our message out to people. We've just been doing it one voter at a time, but it's about to ratchet up considerably over the course of the next few weeks. And
what's the money situation?
Hearing a lot from us. Say that again.
What's the money situation for the campaign look like right now?
Yeah, fundraising has gone really well. So we're on track to raise close to $1 million between the candidate committee and the PAC. I think it will be the highest amount raised of any Senate race in this primary cycle. And we're going to have a lot of third-party groups that get involved in this race too, and independently help communicate our message to the electorate. So you're going to be seeing a lot of our message across the St. Louis area, even over the course of the next several weeks.
So whenever I take the F-150 tour out, what's that bowling alley that Elman likes to go to all the time?
Yeah, the Tubby's.
Tubby's right there in St. Charles. I bet if we were at Tubby's right now, we started talking politics, somebody would bring up Trump. What are you hearing about Trump on the doors?
I hear a lot about Trump. It's probably the number one question I get asked is, what do you think about Trump? And most of the time, those are from Trump supporters, and what I tell folks is I'm very frustrated with what the federal government is doing to President Trump. This weaponization of the Justice Department is unprecedented in American politics. It is a manipulation of our system of justice for political purposes, and I don't think that we can allow it to stand. We do not want to live in a country where every 4 years we're trying to prosecute the leaders of the last political administration. It's a terrible precedent for our nation, and it's really what third world countries do. And so I think the American people are going to reject it. They see through what has happened in these courts in New York and other places across the country. And I think that ultimately the folks that are going to decide this election are not the bureaucrats in Washington or in a court somewhere, but rather the American people.
I think there were some folks that were sort of just tired of Trump's drama, and there was a little bit of fatigue. Because, I mean, let's be honest, even if you love the president, there's always some drama clouds around here. There's never a calm day in Donald Trump world. But I think when they started arresting him every 3 or 4 days for just some random stuff, I think somewhere in folks' guts that's not right. And that conviction, I got the emails last week. I'm still not totally that I understand what he was accused of or convicted of. I think it hit folks' gut wrong. And I think you're right. This isn't Nicaragua. This isn't Cuba. You don't imprison somebody just because they're in the other political party.
That's absolutely right. We have to reject this precedent, and I think the best way that we can do it is by reelecting Donald Trump this November. I believe that we're on path to do that, and from what I'm hearing from folks in St. Charles, he'll win overwhelmingly in my district.
I think he's closer to being elected president today than before he was convicted. Now, I don't know if he'll win or not, but I do think there is a segment of folks that just thought, this just doesn't strike him right. I think he's actually closer than he was before the conviction came down. But let me ask you this. You are known for several things in the legislature, being a very active member of the House. Now that you're in the Senate, what do you want to work on?
Well, Scott, I was honored to have enacted the first school choice program in Missouri history 3 years ago, the Missouri Empowerment Scholarship Accounts Program, which has allowed over 4,000 students to leave their public school and attend a private school of their choice on a tax credit funded scholarship. This last year, we were able to pass Senate Bill 727 that tripled the size of that program, took it from just our big cities and moved it statewide, and will allow over 12,000 students to access the school of their choice. And I'm going to tell you that should I get elected to the Senate, we're just going to keep going because there are many states across the country that have enacted universal school choice policies. And it's my belief that the parent should be in control of a child's education. And if you don't like the product you're receiving from your local public school, you should be able to take those dollars and attend a school that works better for you. And so that's what I want to do if I get elected.
Last question, we'll talk about taxes. Property tax is a big issue in St. Charles County. It does feel like they're just growing and growing and growing. There's got to be, I'm not a big believer you can eliminate property taxes, but there are probably some things that can be done to rein in the explosive growth of property tax bills.
Absolutely. Our Senator Bill Eigel has championed this issue in the legislature for a number of years. And I think that we just need to sit down and try to figure out what the details look like. I think that there's things that we can do to prevent the overassessment of personal property so that people aren't taxed more on their used car than they were the year before. That doesn't make any sense. I think that we can look at how that revenue is being used in local communities and make sure that there's some sort of replacement so that our police and fire remain funded, and we can still phase that tax out over time. This is going to be a hard legislation to pass, but I believe that if we get the right folks together in the Senate, we sit down and work our way through it, we can find a way to reduce the personal property tax burden on Missouri citizens.
Representative Phil Christofanelli, thank you for joining us. We're going to be right back. We're going to take you down to the lead belt. Cindi Buchheit-Courtway after this.
You know, Missouri farmers have been doing what's best for their land for generations. After all, no one knows what it takes to feed and fuel a growing global population better than they do. So why are trial lawyers threatening Missouri farmers' best defense against weeds? Our farmers don't need to be controlled. They need to be supported. Keep glyphosate in our state. Show your support at TakeControlMissouri.com. Paid for by Modern Ag Alliance in support of Missouri farmers.
Data captured by our state-of-the-art monitors helps us pinpoint the timing and location of severe weather more accurately and respond to trouble more quickly. Ameren Missouri's investment in smart technologies like this is one way we're improving reliability and restoring power faster than ever. Responding to trouble before trouble hits. That's energy at work. Ameren, Missouri.
Welcome back. This week in Missouri politics, I told you we're going to take you all around the state to the state senate primaries, into the districts that are actually to make up the state senate, probably the most impactful races that are on the ballot this summer. We're going to go now to the Lead Belt, Senate District 3, Representative Cindi Buchheit-Courtway. Welcome back this week in Missouri politics.
Good afternoon, Scott. Thanks for having me back.
I tell you, it's a great race. It's a fun time. My F-150 campaign tour loves to come to your neck of the woods down in the Lead Belt. Tell folks exactly where the district is.
So we have part of Jefferson County. We have all of St. Francis, all of St. Genevieve, Crawford, and Washington County. So we got a great big county there.
You have the good part of Jeffco, replacing Elaine Gannon. That it is one of the prettier parts of the state and one of the most historic parts of the state through Potosi. I was in Crawford County the other day. I was right there in Sullivan. You know, Sullivan cuts right, and West Sullivan's in Crawford. I was at the unofficial district office of Dave Schott's Sullivan Bowl this past weekend.
That's great. That's great. We've enjoyed visiting all the different little counties and towns that are in the district. We've been having a great time. So glad that you got to come down and enjoy some of it too.
Absolutely. Been a little bit of Bud Light drink at that bowling alley, I think, and I added to the total. What are you hearing on the doors when you're visiting places like Cuba and Steelville?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting a lot of good response. The people know that we're there for them. I'm the candidate that is for the people. I want to make sure that everyone's voices are heard. And so that portrays out from me, from what I talk to the people about. Almost all my legislation I filed has been because constituents have brought it for me. And that's important because those constituents need to have their voices heard.
Talk about the work. When I think of you, I think transportation. I think of the port in Jeffco. You have drilled that into everyone at the State House, how important that port is. Tell folks statewide what about the port and your work building it up.
Sure, absolutely. So a few years ago, we lobbied for successfully $25 million for port infrastructure. It's not only for Jefferson County, though, Scott. That is for the whole region and the whole state of Missouri, also the United States. Basically, we're going to have this awesome port in Herculaneum, Missouri, and then we have a partnership with a company that's building these containers on vessels. So these are a slick machine. It's not like the containers on barges. These go much faster. The product will get to its destination within half the time. So it's going to save the farmers and everyone else who send their products. It's going to save them half the cost. It also has refrigerated cars. So now when you send your pork or your beef, you're not going to have to use dry ice. It's going to be refrigerated, and you're going to be able to get much more into the container. So we're super excited about that.
And it's not just about the existing businesses and farmers are going to benefit. But boy, I tell you, if you want to expand a farm, cutting down that time that you pull it out of the field to the market, that makes a big difference in expanding and actually bringing in new businesses.
Absolutely. That's what we're looking for. We want to grow here in this district. So, yep.
And Jeffco has grown, especially that beautiful part. You get there to Herky and south, it is a beautiful area, and it is growing.
We're super proud of it. Yeah. We've got James Hardy getting ready to come in Crystal City, which is great as well. Almost 400 jobs by the time phase 2 is here, $70,000 a year jobs. It's going to be very helpful to all the people around us. We know that we'll have people from St. Louis coming down. We know we'll have people from St. Francis, St. Genevieve coming up. We're really excited about that.
And every so often you get someone from West Butler County coming up visiting the Crystal Tavern. What do folks think? What do you hear about Trump? Because when I go on my F-150 campaign tour and I'd stop in somewhere like the Crystal Tavern, when people talk politics, they talk Trump. What are you hearing out there?
So there's a lot of people talking about Donald Trump and how they know that when we get back in office, that we're going to change things. This country is going to be better off. And I'm proud to say that I will be going to the national convention as a Trump delegate in July.
Congratulations. So that's coming up in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, a few weeks. Yeah.
So is it Milwaukee?
Yes.
I hate the Brewers, but that's a great honor to get to go to the national convention.
Super excited.
Something interesting I saw. A buddy of mine, Dave Marshak, your sheriff in Jeffco.
Yes.
I tell you, Dave Marshak just looks and acts like a sheriff. He could be in an old John Wayne movie. He had a symposium, I guess, a town meeting about how every county is a border county now, and the illegal immigration issues that you're facing in Jefferson County. It is kind of becoming a fact, I think, that every county is a border county.
It is, and it's so unfortunate. I do have plans. I've made arrangements. I'm getting ready to go to the border in September, so I'm super excited about that. We had probably 200 people at his event the other night, which was great. Because everyone is becoming a border state, and that's sad. We have I think 3 public administrators in Missouri that actually are guardians of undocumented people. So, we've got some stuff going on here, and people don't want to believe it, but it's here.
Well, I mean, look, I think there's a lot of folks. We're a nation of immigrants. Your heart goes out to folks that want to come find a better life, and a lot of immigrants do some of the hardest work in this country. But I think even your average citizen, even maybe a Democrat who wants to see a better life for folks, the illegal immigration situation at the border is not a better life for anyone, including Americans.
You're right. It's not. And here's the deal. Come into our country legally. We will accept you, but come the legal way.
Well, not only accept you, we'll make you state treasurer. I saw Vivek Malik talk about how personally it was offensive to him because he did it the right way, the very hard, very expensive way. And I could see that if you'd followed the rules like Vivek Malik has, I could see where you'd be a little ticked off about that.
Man, he's got a great story to tell, doesn't he?
Oh, no question. No question. Let's talk about one of the defining issues, seems like, in that race. It comes down to school choice. You have been a school choice person from the beginning. Tell folks why.
Because I believe that parents and children need to have choices. We sometimes fail. Some of our schools fail our children. Some of our schools in Missouri are great. But you know what? Those parents and those children, they deserve to have choices. I can tell you the coolest thing with our family, David and I, between us, we have 5 kids and 17 grandkids. But when our kids were going to school, they went to Jefferson R7. And back then, Jefferson R7 was only K through 8. So you got to pick what high school you went to. So the oldest 2 went to Festus. We have 1 that went to Crystal, 1 that went to Herculaneum, and then the last one graduated from R7. And every single one of them got the best education that they needed to have. They had people wrapped around them that were so good for them and shaped their futures. That's something I think that all children deserve, to have a place where they feel great and safe and they're getting the help they need.
Well, Cindi Buchheit-Courtway, good luck on the campaign trail. Say hi to my good buddy Derek Good if you have a chance.
Absolutely. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you. Like I said, we're going to take you all around the state to all the state Senate primaries. They're going to make up the state Senate next session. Probably the most impactful races on the ballot for how you live your life. We're going to bring them into the district with you here on This Week in Missouri Politics. We'll see you next week, where we're going to go out again and talk to some state Senate candidates here on This Week in Missouri Politics.
This Week in Missouri Politics is sponsored by the Missouri Automobile Dealers Association, Ameren, Spire, and the United Electric Cooperative.